Hello YouTube, my name's Nero and today from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and another episode of DNA Saturday, which is the weekly series here on my channel where subscribers send me in DNA bombs. That was the Cray class we're going to be using throughout the entirety of this gameplay. If you guys would like, you can go back and pause the video to get a look at the Cray class, perhaps if you want to replicate it for yourself, but keep in mind I will be talking about the attachments and the perk setup and just generally about the class. I'll be talking and covering that throughout this video like we usually do here on different episodes of DNA Saturday. So what's going on here? It's actually a game of domination here on the map Terrace, running around with the HBRa3 Insanity, and the DNA Bomb is actually picked up, and kind of the gimmick to it is it's actually 1 sensitivity, which is really kind of hard to move around on a 1 sensitivity, right? The gameplay itself is actually sent in by a guy that goes by the name of Horatio, who chances are you guys know that name if you were a fan of Chem Strike Saturday last year with Call of Duty Ghost, or if you've even seen different episodes of DNA Saturday this year where Horatio was featured, because he's a very good player, longtime subscriber of mine that continues to send in very, very good gameplay just week after week after week. So we're going to be talking about lots of things throughout this video. First and foremost, let's go ahead and talk about the HBRa3 Insanity and the class itself. So I think the HBRa3 Insanity is by far the best variant of the HBRa3, and I think it's widely considered by a lot of people in the game to be probably one of the best variants in the game, because what it does is it gives it +1 damage, +2 fire rate, -1 to handling, and doesn't allow you to have any optical attachments. So the -1 to handling, I don't think anybody really cares too much about. Basically what this does is it's going to give you +1 damage and +2 fire rate to an already very good gun in exchange for not being able to use a red dot sight. It's pretty powerful. I think most people in the game kind of agree with that, and it just melts people, because the one downside, of course, of the HBRa3 is by its very nature, it's a high damage rifle that doesn't have a good fire rate. It hits like a truck, but it doesn't shoot very fast. Well, this thing makes it so it hits even harder and it shoots faster, so it's definitely a very good overall weapon variant. Definitely one of the best in the game that I think a lot of people are trying to go after. In terms of perks, pretty standard perks overall. We've got low profile, we've got blind eye, we've got scavenger, we've got blast suppressor, stuff we see here on DNA Saturday a ton, but the attachments, ladies and gentlemen, the attachments on the HBR are going to be what makes this class. So we're using the adjustable stock, we're using the foregrip, and we're using the silencer. Keep in mind, if you're using the HBRa3 Insanity, you cannot use an optical attachment. Perhaps there's one you're fond of, like a red dot sight, perhaps you're fond of like a holographic sight, something like that. You cannot use those on this gun. So basically you have to use all different things like grips and silencers and different kinds of stocks, I suppose. I mean, basically all the attachments that aren't optical are what's available to you. I kind of like quick draw grip on this gun personally. I mean, I don't have the Insanity, I just have a normal HBRa3. I kind of like quick draw personally, but you know, you got the foregrip on there for the reduced recoil, you've got the adjustable stock just for being able to strafe people at long distances, and you've got the silencer just for staying off the minimap. Very nice overall, and you kind of combine that with the fact that there's low profile, you kind of combine that with the fact that there's blind eye as well as blast suppressor on this class. He's not showing up, man. Nobody's going to know where he's coming from. He's got a very powerful gun overall to take people out. So let's start talking about the fact that this was actually achieved with 1 sensitivity. It's something I've seen a lot of people go after, you know, the past couple years. You know, look back at Moabs and DNA bombs and chem strikes and things like that. It's always like people like, I've got a 1 sensitivity gameplay, wherever the streak may be, right? And it's always weird to me. It's like, well, I don't really see how exactly that's like a giant feat, to be perfectly honest, because I used to play on a 2 sensitivity. There's people out there, I'm sure, that play on the 1 sensitivity. I guess the real challenge to it is the person that's getting this DNA bomb, that's achieving this on a 1 sensitivity, is a player that, you know, doesn't play on that. It's actually really hard because you're not used to being able to turn that slow. And you see throughout the gameplay, you turn ridiculously slow. Just ridiculously slow. But I think it's just not too far out of the question to say some people kind of play at sensitivities at least close to this. I know back in the day I used to play on a 2 sensitivity. In fact, throughout my Call of Duty career, I've switched all around, because we used to play a lot of Search and Destroy, and I used to like to mess with my friends. So sometimes I'd play on a 10 sensitivity, because of course they spectate you in Search and Destroy when they die. And they're like, how do you play on such a high sensitivity? And I'd be like, because I'm good, I don't know. Then I would like switch it down to a 1 sensitivity just to bother people when they spectate, because it would take so long to turn and stuff. So it's not entirely impossible to be able to play good on a sensitivity like this. But that's the thing, is sensitivity comes down to your own personal preference. Now, for me personally, I play on like a 4 or a 5. So I up it and I down it depending on how I'm feeling that day. But it all comes down to personal preference. No set sensitivity, guys, is actually going to make you a better player, right? Just keep that in mind. Whatever sensitivity that you as a player are just completely comfortable with, that is the sensitivity you should be playing on. If you like playing on a 1, play on it. If you like playing on a 20 billion sensitivity, I don't know, the highest sensitivity in the game, go for that as well. If you're like a middle of the road, like a 10-ish, something like that, go for it. For me personally, it's always been like a 4 or a 5. You know, it's not too fast, it's not too slow. It's kind of how I've always liked to have my sensitivities in Call of Duty games. But right here is actually where he picks up the DNA bomb. And check this out. He's actually going to go ahead and pause for us here. And I actually took a screenshot here, so I paused it just so everyone gets a good look at it. Actually showing that this was in fact on 1 sensitivity, and that's what we got throughout the entirety of this gameplay. So that was pretty cool, Mr. Horatio. That was pretty cool. Then of course he ends up showing the class there right there as well. But yeah, I just want to kind of talk about that a little bit. A lot of people always ask me, what is your sensitivity? You see people asking other YouTubers, what's your sensitivity? What sensitivity do you play on? I want to switch to your sensitivity because it seems like you do good on that. And guys, it all just comes down to your own personal preference and what you are comfortable with. Sometimes when you get on and you start playing Call of Duty, right, you start playing it and you'd be like, oh, well, I feel slow today. I don't feel as though I'm turning quick enough. Up your sensitivity a little bit. Some days you're going to feel like, whoa, this is way too fast. Maybe you haven't played in a couple of days, or maybe you haven't played in a week or so. And you get back on, you're like, whoa, this sensitivity is way too fast. I'm moving around just all kinds of crazy. I can't keep my aim as a result of this. Then you, of course, down your sensitivity a little bit. Just keep changing it until you feel comfortable. But right here, we actually see the final score, 70 kills, as well as 5 deaths by Mr. Horatio, as well as, of course, getting the DNA bomb while playing on 1 sensitivity, which was pretty awesome. So, hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of DNA Saturday, and hopefully you learned something about changing your sensitivity and just kind of feeling comfortable while you're playing, alright? It's all down to personal preference. Just all down to personal preference, guys. Keep that in mind. So, hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of DNA Saturday, and if you did, please be sure to leave a rating where you guys feel the video deserves. And if you guys would like to submit your DNA bombs for next week's episode of DNA Saturday, watch the video that's on your screen right now. Everything you need to know is in that video. There's an annotation you can click, and there's a link to it in the video description. Just be sure to go ahead and check out that video. It tells you everything you need to know. If you guys would like to go ahead and check out Mr. Horatio, you can find him over at youtube.com/Horatio. That is HAARITHIO, Horatio. I know it's really kind of hard to pronounce that. When you first look at that, it's like, is it Horatio? Horatio? And I actually asked him. He actually specifically sent me messages kind of spelling it out for me how to pronounce it. It's actually spelled Horatio. Keep that in mind. But over on his YouTube channel, you can find a lot of different Call of Duty content. Mostly, it's really good gameplay stuff. That's really what he likes to post. He doesn't post a ton, but what he does post is very, very nice stuff. So, for example, his most recent video is actually going to be a montage for hitting 750 subscribers. Before that, he has a very fast 2-minute long DNA bomb. Before that, he has an ARX hole puncher DNA bomb. Before that, he has 100 plus TAC-19 shotgun gameplay. Lots of good stuff. So basically, he doesn't upload a ton, but when he does, right, you're going to see some really good stuff. If you guys want to check him out, you can find him once again over at youtube.com/Horatio. I hope you guys all enjoyed this week's episodes of DNA Saturday, and if you did, please be sure to leave a rating where you guys feel the deserves. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.